Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to Harpin on Rugby. This is part of our weekly feature called the 80 Plus column. Now, our main content each week is our Wrap podcast, which is an analysis of the latest match for the Leinster Ireland men's team. Our latest pod was, of course, looking back at Leinster's win over Cardiff last Saturday. You can check that out on all the major platforms. As for this 80 Plus column, it's sort of a weekly newsletter taking a quick look at the rest of the rugby world just to see what's going on. This video is all about a segment we call the Front Five, which is a selection of 5 eye-catching, egg-chasing quotes and links from around the rugby media landscape. As you can see, I've got 5 headings all lined up here. Now, I'm recording this. We're putting this out on Wednesday. I'm recording on Tuesday because of just the way this week has worked out. So what's probably going to happen is there's probably going to be 1,000 different amazing, incredible stories that I should be covering on Wednesday morning. I'll comment on those on Blue Sky or whatever way. It's just the way this week worked out. I picked 5 stories. We're going to quickly go through them this week, okay? And we're going to start with this one from the 42.ie, and it's got the headline. It's Murray Kinsella. The headline says, "Why Gary Ringrose's ban included Leinster's game against Cardiff." This is a story that's, it's big in the news this week. It's the French are, complaining about the way the ban for Gary Ringrose's red card worked out. I can totally see their point. I never understood bans in rugby. Never understood them. I think I spoke about this on the same video last week. He ended up with a ban that meant that he could come back and play in the final Six Nations match against Italy, which could be decisive for the championship and more. So there is that, and obviously, an Irish fan, we want Ireland to win. We want positive things for Ireland, but also, you switch the jerseys, and we were saying, it wasn't too long ago, we were saying how it was convenient that Roman Ntamak's ban got him back for this game coming up on Saturday at the Aviva. So, but the thing is, the difference between those two bans was, though, that Ntamak's ban, it was for a more serious offense, right? So you think it should have been for longer, but they made it games instead of weeks. So it meant that he was out for longer because they didn't count his games for Toulouse. Whereas in this one, they counted Leinster's game against Cardiff. Now, I mean, listen, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't see any situation whereby he would have played against Cardiff unless he was out for a long-term injury and his first game back was to be against France. They wanted him to play against France. They wanted to get some rugby in his legs. They did that with James Lowe. He played against the Stormers. So it has happened, but Ringrose has been playing. He that's how he got the red card. That's because he was playing. And so it doesn't really qualify to, in my mind anyway, and a lot of people agree, a lot of Irish fans agree, Leinster and Ireland fans all agree. Well, not all agree, but you know what I mean. But what happened in this hearing was Simon Easterby himself showed up and gave a testimony. And I suppose they give him the gravitas of, that he is a head coach in the Six Nations. And the quote I've picked from the article says, Easterby explained that with 3 world-class centers in the current Ireland squad, Ringrose's game time in this Six Nations so far has been limited, and then went on to say that part of the reason why they would have released Ringrose to Leinster was to allow him the chance to play in a different position in order that Ireland can consider him on the wing as well as in the center. Now, he has played on the wing in the Six Nations, but it's still a bit of a stretch, okay? Let me tell you my overall problem with this, okay? There is too much wiggle room in the rules around this. Way, way too much. Smart people need to sit down and get around a table and sort out more fixed rules about these bans and these weeks and make them comply, make them make sense when you've got overlapping competitions. And one thing about rugby, I'm always saying it, rugby is a competition, is a sport at the highest level where the unions are allowed to do their own thing and create their own little situations, and because they want to look after their own little affairs, and but when it comes to making rules and laws that deal with competitions, when these unions come together, that's going to come into conflict because you got one union that does things this way, one union does things that way, and they all know this. So when they all agree to this, I mean, Ireland, the IRFU didn't break any rules by Simon Easterby making that testimony, to my knowledge, anyway. I mean, if they did, let me know. So it's the system in the first place that's the problem. That's basically what I'm saying. I'm happy Ringrose is playing against Italy, but overall the system, this is just going to keep happening again and again and again. It'll be different names, it'll be different countries, it'll be different situations in the season, but we'll still be scratching our heads as to how they come to these decisions. So that's my 2 cents on all that. Okay, Article 2 comes from RTE.ie, Michael Glennon, and it's about a couple of central contracts which are signed earlier this week. The headline reads, "More to come," says Joe McCarthy as he signs Leinster deal. Great news as far as I'm concerned. I think he's just in a short space of time, he's become a very important part of the Irish setup and the Leinster setup, obviously. And the quote from the article says, "It is a big statement for Irish rugby that one of the top young talents has committed his long-term future here." I mean, it goes without saying, he's got an agent looking out for his future, looking out for something long-term. That he's pretty much always selected when needed for Ireland now. He's part of the engine room for this Ireland team. He's a big part of the plans. He gets in part of all the operations of the team and everything. So why shouldn't he get a central contract if one is available? So, his agent would have been pushing for that. Obviously, we've spoken a lot about people who say that Leinster get too many central contracts. I mean, it's like, yes, maybe, but the central contract system is such a complicated thing. You can't just give them out based on province. I mean, people are suggesting that they just give it to him because it's Leinster, but by the same token, can you refuse to give it to him because he's not? I'm sorry, Joe, we can't give you this contract because we've too many Leinster contracts there already, or we'd have to take one from a Leinster player. That doesn't make sense either. And what would happen is the agent would go, "Okay, fine, top 14 Premiership. Who wants a bit of Joe?" You know what I mean? It's not a simple process. It's not as simple as they're just giving it to him because it's Leinster. When all the talent is coming in from one province, that's where the contracts are going to go. And this makes a smart move. And it wasn't just Joe that was announced this week, but they gave one to Mac Hansen. It was a 2-year deal for Mac. Now he's 26 and Joe's 23, a bit longer. It's that coveted 3-year contract for him. I'm just delighted he signed personally a Leinster contract. I know that this will continue to fuel the narrative about Leinster players getting it, but I think I've spoken enough on that. Okay, that's article number 2. Number 3 is from balls.ie. This is another Leinster player getting some good news. Leinster winger receives Ireland call after 2 moments of URC magic. This is Tommy O'Brien. I'm trying to get this name, Tommy the Try-Saver, or Try-Saving Tommy, or some kind of combination of that going. It's probably not going to happen, but anyway, I'm going to keep calling him that anyway, because on Saturday against Cardiff, I was there. He made 2 amazing tackles that definitely probably, would have resulted in tries. And it's not the first time he's done it. Going back 2-3 years, he did one against the Lions, and he's done other in other matches. And his technique is so perfect. He gets his head in the right position and gets the arms around. It's coming. And one of them, it was like Superman. He had to dive to stop the guy, but still made it a legal tackle. It's brilliant to watch. And it's showing everyone how it should be done. And he's been rewarded with a call up. Now he played for the Ireland A against England a week or so ago, and now he's got called up to the wider Ireland squad. And I've said several times he's had horrible luck with injury. It was great to see him when he was substituted. He was coming off under his own steam on Saturday, and that was brilliant, having played really well. But the fact that he's been called up for the wider squad, if he hadn't have had those injuries, I would almost guarantee he would have Ireland caps under his belt by now. Yes, another Leinster player, I know, but when someone's so talented and you see them performing on the pitch, you can't just go by the jersey. I mean, it works both ways. You're saying, they only pick people because they're Leinster. Well, they can't not pick people because they're not Leinster. That's what I keep saying. Anyway, delighted for him. There's been other players called up as well. Max Deegan, he's another one that, you talk about players who are unlucky to make it into the squad. We usually say that about players who are not from Leinster, but there's also Tommy O'Brien, Max Deegan. There's also Leinster players on the fringes too, not getting the call-ups, and also called up to the full Ireland squad. You got Tom O'Toole from Ulster. Well, he's been there before. He has gotten caps. Possibly Clarkson got ahead of him on the pecking order, but it's good to see him to have a chance to get back into the squad. And Dara Murray from Connacht as well. So it's good news for all of them, but particularly for me at the moment on Tommy as well, because it reward for the way he's played this season after coming back from injury. Best of luck to him. Okay, article number 4 is from Sports News Ireland. I wrote articles for them way back in the day. They're still going strong. Joe Naughton is writing for them these days, and this article simply said the headline is Felix Jones returns to Springboks coaching staff. Now we all know Felix Jones. He won 2 World Cups with South Africa and Rassie Erasmus and his team. But then he went over to England and things didn't work out there, and he left his contract early. So he was kind of hanging out there for a while. We were wondering what his future was. And at the same time, there was a vacancy at Munster. So we kind of figured it would be a really good fit and be good for Ireland to get him into the system. Now, I don't know what happened. Munster went on to make a good appointment. Clayton McMillan came over from the Chiefs. That's good from him. It's good keeping Irish coaches in Ireland, but it's also good to get perspective in from outside as well. So that's a good signing. That's a good appointment for them. But the question is now, what's going to happen to Felix Jones? Here it is. He's going back to the Springboks. Does that mean a failure for the IRFU? Could they have done more to get him in? We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, but it's good that he's found a role and he's back with the Springboks now. And I wish him all the best. I mean, Springboks are coming to Ireland in November. Don't wish him the best then, but otherwise, we do wish him well. Okay, finally, 5th article. We're flying through them this week. 5th and final article. We're going back to ruck.co.uk. I pick on them every week. I pick an article from them. This week, I'm going to be kind, in which I'm going to share the link. I'm not going to call this clickbait. I think this is a decent story. I think it's it's a decent fringe story in rugby, and they're not. They're telling it's not clickbait. The headline, they're telling it like it is. The headline reads: "We saw Neymar. Ronan O'Gara calls out a dive that sent off La Rochelle lock Will Skelton." The simple story is that La Rochelle lost last weekend. Will Skelton got a red card, which obviously plays a part in the defeat. But that means La Rochelle now sit 9th on the Top 14 table. Okay. And that's a lot of pressure. Now, Ronan O'Gara would have been asked at the press conference, what did you think of the red card? Ronan O'Gara is going to answer. He likes to embellish a bit. I'm not going to say here or there about the ins and outs of this particular red card, but when he does say things like this, and you go to extremes and you say evocative language, like the quote there, he actually said, "It's a dark day for rugby." That decisions like this are going, and he's complaining about the player who supposedly dived and exaggerated the injury from the head collision. Does that always lead to the red card? I mean, it possibly could lead to a check, but once you check, you're going by what you see on the screen. So, and they should probably check anyway. They should probably spot it anyway. They probably don't need the reaction. So I'm wondering, is the pressure getting to him? They will want to make that top 6. And when they get as low as 9th, that's a possibility of not even getting in the Champions Cup at all next season. So there's implications there. There's pressure there. They play Munster in the round of 16. So there's a lot ahead for Ronan. So we'll keep eyes on that. I mean, I wouldn't rule out them playing Munster again in the Champions Cup this season, whatever happens, whatever their form is. But it's not going well now. They're losing a few in a row there in that Top 14. Okay, listen, we're going to leave it there. That completes this week's Front 5. Remember, we do a lot of other regular features on the full 80 plus column. You'll get the actual links for all those Front 5 articles. There's the injury update. I pick a possible Ireland 23 for the game against France. We've got our Troll Patrol feature. We've got our bonus clip, which this week looks at the Leinster fan experience. And there's also one-stop shop updates on all the other rugby tournaments like the AIL, Top 14, and Super Rugby. You can get it all by heading over to our website at harpinonrugby.blog. Next up here at Harpin Manor, we've got our usual preview and rep pod for Ireland v France. So please be sure to subscribe to our channel as well to our other social media platforms. You can find those at linktree/harpinonrugby. Until next time, stay safe, everyone. Slán.